Hey everybody, welcome to Bible Time. Craig here. Just want to jump back into the Gospel of John with you. Hey, for those of you that are new, make sure that you click that. If you're watching on Instagram, make sure you click that Instagram TV button and turn your phone to the side so you can read the words. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe so you can see all the videos coming in the future. And if you're anybody that thinks maybe you have a friend or somebody that benefit from this, then tag them or share it or post it or something. My goal here is to simply get people to spend time with Jesus every day through spending time in the Bible, and hopefully on your own spending some time in prayer. And so we're just reading the Bible together. This is not pre-planned out or written. I have not studied this. I'm just reading along with you, and that is the goal of Bible Time, for us just to simply to read together. And I guess for me, maybe to show a little bit of how I read the Bible and how that works with just underlining and seeing what God's speaking. And so I pray for each one of us today that God would speak to us. So here we go. Let's jump in. We left off in verse 45. We got done with verse 45 with everything that happened with the woman at the well in Samaria. So it says this, verse 46. So he came to Cana in Galilee, he being Jesus, where he had made the water into wine, referencing the first miracle that he had done, recorded in the Gospel of John. And at Capernaum there was an official whose son was ill. When the man had heard that Jesus had come from Judea to Galilee, he went to him and asked him to come down to heal his son, for he was at the point of death. When this man heard, he went to him. Just speaks to me that the word had gotten out. He had heard about Jesus, and his immediate goal was to go to him. So he went down because his son was at the point of death. So Jesus said to him, "Unless you see signs and wonders, you will not believe." The official said to him, "Sir, come down before my child dies." Jesus said to him, "Go, your son will live." The man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him and went on his way. The man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him and went on his way. When I read that, I'm seeing this sort of contrast here where Jesus makes this weird statement in between where, this guy's like begging for the life of his kid. Hey, my son is sick. He's going to die. He's at the point of death. And then Jesus says this funny thing like, unless you see signs, you will not believe. And I don't know exactly what the point is of pointing that out, but Jesus wanted to make this statement. Maybe he was to press his assumptions or something, but hey, unless you see something, you're not going to believe. And then they go on with the conversation. He says, "Please come before my kid dies." And then he says, "Go, your son will live." And then it says that the man believed. So obviously there's a contrast here between Jesus' declaration, "You won't believe unless you see it," and then Jesus didn't go and show him, he just spoke it, and it says that he believed. So anyway, that's what I saw there. Verse 51, as he was going down, his servants met him and told him that his son was recovering. So he asked them what hour he had began to get better, and they said to him, "Yesterday at the 7th hour the fever left him." The father knew that was the hour when Jesus had said to him, "Your son will live." And he himself believed, and all his household. I love that. Goes out of his way to confirm that he believed, but this time adding his whole household. That would be a normal thing at the time of the leader of a house would have, kids and a wife and servants, and sometimes if you're really the patriarch of a family, you'd maybe be the grandfather or whatever, and you'd have grandkids and just a big sprawling family, and typically the culture would be whatever it was that the head of the household believed and followed and committed to, the whole household would follow. And so it's a significant thing that took place. This was now the second sign that Jesus did when he had come from Judea to Galilee. So, yeah, the second sign that he had done, both in Cana, actually. One was wine and one was a healing. I think he's trying to send the message that he came to bring life and life abundant. Well, let's continue on here. It looks like there's going to be some more healing. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Hey, some people might not care about this. I actually don't know, and so I'm just pointing this out to say that, hey, not everybody knows everything, but a feast of the Jews, that might be something that an academic type person might wonder about. I mean, maybe we all should. I don't know exactly what that term means, a feast of the Jews. I know that obviously the Jewish people had many, many official ceremonial feasts, but I don't know. Might be worth looking into. There might be some gold in there, so somebody might consider it out there. If anybody out there studies that and knows what that is or researches what that is, maybe comment below so the rest of us can see. Now there in Jerusalem by the sheep gate is a pool, in Aramaic called Bethesda, which has 5 roofed colonnades. In these lay a multitude of invalids, blind, lame, and paralyzed. One man was there who had been an invalid for 38 years. It's a long time. When Jesus saw him lying there, he knew that he had already been there a long time. He said to him, "Do you want to be healed?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirred, and while I am going, another steps down before me." Let's back up for a second, just because I think this is just so Jesus. This guy's been here 38 years as an invalid, and Jesus saw him lying there, and he also knew that he had been there a long time. And he asked this question, "Do you want to be healed? Do you want to be healed?" It's like, duh. I mean, come on. Obviously. But the more that we read the scriptures, we're going to see that this is how Jesus behaved. It's silly behavior, silly questions. I think I just spit there, but actually so significant to his character, and really I think what it was that he was trying to show people, that there had to be a heart cry inside of them toward the heart of God, not just towards what the world can provide, towards what the physical things can be provided, but he's asking a question that is an obvious answer, and yet Jesus is provoking him to speak to him his heart's desire. And so, I guess we read that and it's like, duh, come on, that's obvious. But, if we're honest, we probably say of the questions that we have in our life, the things that go wrong in our life and how we try and fix them, how often is it that going to Jesus is our number one, first, not just like legalistic or I know that's the right thing to do response, but like genuinely in our heart, that's our first response, is to turn to the Lord and see what he can do to fix a problem or heal a problem, and to speak that out to him, to go to him with our heart's desire. And we see this time and time again in the New Testament where Jesus is asking people where the answer is obvious to what it is that they want. For whatever reason, he wants humanity to speak it out to him. So, anyway, I guess that's just what I'm hearing at this particular moment from that text. We can read the Bible, the same passage 100 times in different times and seasons. We hear different things. And so it's kind of the whole point. One of the points of this Bible time video is to hopefully help teach some people that you can read it, not know everything in one particular moment, but just find a little piece and a little nugget that God's speaking to you in the moment, and move on. So the sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me in the pool, and the water stirred, and while I am going to the steps, another goes before me." I don't know exactly, but I've heard that it was this location where they thought if the water was like stirred up, that there was an angel of healing there, and whoever got to the water first got healed. Again, I haven't personally researched that. If anybody wants to, let us know. Jesus said to him, "Get up, take up your bed, and walk." And at once the man was healed. He took up his bed and walked. Now that day was a Sabbath. So the Jews said to the man who had been healed, "It's the Sabbath. It's not lawful for you to take up your bed." So the Sabbath would be Saturday, and it wasn't lawful for you to do work on Saturday. So picking up your bed and walking was considered work. Verse 11, but he answered them, "The man who healed me, that man said to me, 'Take up your bed and walk.'" They asked him, "Who is the man that said to you, 'Take up your bed and walk'?" Now the man who had been healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had withdrawn, as there was a crowd in that place. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, "See, you're well. Sin no more." I love this. He brought the healing, and then he invites the response. I just think that this is so significant, that God offers himself, he offers life first, and then he asks for a response. You know, sometimes we think, clean yourself up, stop sinning, become perfect, and then Jesus might just show up and help you and heal you and bring you life. But Jesus comes and offers us through grace. We can't earn it. We can't clean ourselves up aside from him. And so, you know, this is just one little example of where he makes him well, and then he invites the response, "Don't sin anymore." And so I think that's beautiful. That speaks to me every time. "You're well, sin no more, that nothing worse may happen to you." The man went away and told the Jews that it was Jesus who had healed him. Jesus, such an important name. And this is why the Jews were persecuting Jesus, because he was doing these things on the Sabbath. But Jesus answered them, "My Father is working until now, and I'm working." So they didn't like that he was doing miracles on the Sabbath, and Jesus is like, "Hey, this is what my Father does. This is what God the Father, Yahweh, is doing, and so this is what I'm doing." This is why the Jews were seeking all the more to kill him, not because not only was he breaking the Sabbath, but he was even calling God his own Father. And then this is really, really important. The gospel writer's commentary or knowledge of what he meant, or what they thought he meant at the very least, was making himself equal with God. That Jesus was making himself equal with God. And so here we see, even the beginning of the Gospel of John, that they're already interested in putting him to death. And so, hey, why don't we leave it here today? You know what? I'd love to just see what maybe your response is. Instead of me pointing out one thing that sticks out to me, I just want to invite you today to reflect on just a couple verses we read and to challenge yourself. Hey, that wasn't very much. You know what? Keep reading. I encourage you to keep reading more. But even if this is all the time that you have for spending time in the Word today, what can you grab out of this scripture? What is it that maybe God wants to speak to you? Spend a couple moments just in prayer and just say, "God, speak to me. What is it that you want to speak to me?" Not just academically about the Bible today, but Lord, what is it that you would want me to do in response to what your living word said to me today? And so that's my prayer for you and for myself as well. And so I hope that helped with your journey today. God bless you, and I hope to see you tomorrow.